Live from Greenwich, Connecticut, you're watching the greatest classic car show in the entire Northeast, the Greenwich Concours d'Elegance on BeTerrific. Hey, what's up, Terrifics? I'm Michael Artsis. We're here at the Greenwich Concours d'Elegance 2017, and we've got a very special treat here. This is an old Seagrave fire truck. Tell me about this fire truck.
It's a 1931 Seagrave. It was originally purchased by the Sound Beach Volunteer Fire Department in 1931 for $13,000, which was a princely sum back in those days. And it's been in the possession of the department ever since. We've been able to do a pretty good restoration on it over the years, and it's all original mechanicals. We were able to bring it down at the request of the concours today, and happy to show it off.
It's absolutely stunning. I think that the fact that it still drives is amazing, and I know there are a lot of old fire trucks on the road that people love them. I think, you know, as a young child, you fall in love with a fire truck. What are some of the features on this fire truck that still exist today on fire trucks?
Well, it's what we would call a triple combination pumper, which means it has a tank for water, it's got hose, and it pumps. So we have a pump panel, which is on all the fire trucks that you're going to see today, all the fire engines. It's got a lot of chrome. It's got a lot of ladders that we see. The kids love it. We like to bring it to these events because everybody can identify with it, as you said. It's something that everybody as a kid, I think, climbed on a fire truck at one time or another and said they'd like to be a fireman.
What are some of the differences between this and a fire truck you might have today?
Well, obviously this was built way before the current regulations. All the trucks today are enclosed, fully enclosed. They wouldn't have ladders and apparatus and hose and nozzles and the like hanging off the side. Everything is in compartments. Likewise, they wouldn't have an open seat and an open steering wheel like they do in this apparatus. Everything is enclosed for safety regulations, so it's a little bit different than it would be back then.
I imagine weather too. I mean,
absolutely.
There's no reason to be driving in snow and rain with an open top. And this, so would firefighters hang off of this while it was going as well, like they do today still?
Back in the day, this was only a two-seater, so if you had more than that, people rode on the tailboard in the back. They would hang on, much like the subway car, and they'd ride to a fire in that manner. Sometimes on the sides.
Today they do it a little bit safer, but
absolutely, yeah.
And how big was the water reserve?
This truck has a 750 gallon a minute pump. It does still pump, but the tank only has 250 gallons of water. So most of the trucks today carry between 500 and 1,000 gallons of water.
And you take this to schools and actually pump it ever to show the kids, kind of wow them? Do you do charity events, stuff like that?
We do charity events with it. We take it to some birthday parties. It doesn't get to pump as much as we would like. Like I said, we've recently had some work done on it, so we're trying to get it out a little bit more, and it's nice to be able to take it out and let the public see it.
What's it like to drive?
It's a lot of fun. It's an interesting, like you said, it's an open cab, so it's like driving a convertible. It's a right-hand drive. I don't know if you saw that, but so it's a little bit like driving a mail truck, but it's certainly a little tricky, but it's fun to drive.
In 1931, this was $13,000 and change, you said.
Yep.
You know, that was a ton of money back then. I would say that probably was more than basically what a fire truck would cost today if you figured inflation. I don't really know, but I'm assuming, because I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, a fire engine like this, the Evolution, would be about $500,000 today, maybe $750,000.
That's absolutely right. You would find an average engine. We had a gentleman here from one of the fire truck manufacturers saying it's not uncommon for an engine of today's version of this to cost in that range. Anywhere $700,000 to $800,000 for a custom piece of apparatus.
And I would imagine, given inflation, 1931, it'd be about 1.3 million would be what this would cost. It's something like that. I'm in the ballparks, which means it was a lot more expensive than what we have today. Maybe we've figured out more efficient manufacturing and stuff like that. I'm not sure, but this was certainly very pricey in its day. Is the point.
Back then, these were all custom apparatus that were made individually for the different departments. It wasn't really a manufacturing line like they do with automobiles or trucks today, or a commercial chassis. So, yeah, it was a pretty pricey investment, and that's why a truck like this was in service for almost 35 years, because it was an investment.
How did you get into being a firefighter?
I've been a volunteer for almost 35 years. Mr. Catrone here is over 40 years, and I think it's in the family. My father was a volunteer. My grandfather was a volunteer, and I think it's not only a brotherhood, but it's also a family.
It absolutely is. Thank you for your service. You do a great thing, and it's very needed and very important. As our camera guy here, David Kleinstein's a firefighter in Hackensack, New Jersey. Very important. You guys risk your lives to save and care for others, and it's a great thing.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time to come see our truck.
Thank you for having us. What about cars? I mean, here's a one-off Ferrari P45 from Jim Glickenhaus. We just saw an old Countach go by. Another beautiful example of a Ferrari right here. I know you're a car guy because of this truck and how into this truck you are, and I've heard that you kind of led the charge to restore this. When did you first get into trucks, cars, and alike?
You know, I've always been a bit of a car guy, and growing up in this area, you get to see a lot of one-offs, and we have a lot of people that have a little bit of money to spend on their cars, as evidenced by some of the ones that you've seen here today. But to actually be able to put the elbow grease in and work on something like this and be part of the restoration for me was really what drove me on this. I was very happy to be a part of this.
How long did it take?
Was purchased back in 1979, and it was probably the better part of 20 years to get us to our 100th anniversary in 2004. And then we've done some one-off stuff since then, so it's an ongoing process.
I imagine you can't, you have to fabricate everything. You can't just go, oh, we'll need this part or that part.
Absolutely. A lot of it is custom fabrication. You look at the gold leaf on the truck, everything was custom at the time. So to find somebody who can match the craftsmanship and the mechanics of it is hard to find.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about the wheels and tires and brakes? Is it using drum brakes, which would be, I imagine, very hard to stop a truck like this with drum brakes?
They are drum brakes. It's a mechanical braking system with a vacuum booster, which is very similar to some of the Packards that you saw, some of the touring cars at the time. It was a BK braking system. We just were lucky enough to send it out last year for about an 8-month restoration. They did a lot of work on the brakes, a lot of work on the electrical system. So that is obviously stopping the truck is as important as getting it to go.
And they're pretty big wheels. Are those like 35s?
It's they're standard. They're all standard 30. What are they, Jared? 32, 35. They're all pretty much standard truck wheels. We were lucky in that this apparatus was built at a time when it was starting to convert over to standards in those regards. So we do have not an odd size. They're all pretty much stock wheels. So we've been lucky in that regard.
Very nice. It's certainly a beautiful example, and I'm glad you guys have a lot of fun with it, and you brought it out to this show, and we got a chance to see it.
We were honored to come out today. It's a great company to be in. You look at some of the cars that are here today, and it really is nice to be among such company.
Yes, absolutely. Is there something in restoring that was very difficult to find or do?
The brakes were a challenge. As I said, it's a vacuum system, so over time the truck's 90 years old. So to find all the parts and to get a mechanic that could work on it and be familiar with it, as well as the truck has a dual electrical system. It's got a distributor and a magneto, which makes it a little more difficult. But really, as you said, to find any small part that you would think would be an off-the-shelf part for today's automotive, you have to custom fabricate stuff.
Leaf springs? Leaf suspension, I mean?
Leaf suspension in the rear, correct.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your time. It's very nice to meet you.
Thank you. Listen to me. I'm Michael Artsis. I just get distracted by all these beautiful cars. There's an F40 over there. I just saw Mustang Mach-1 go by. Got a Yanko Camaro 427. There's a Ford GT. Even doing the interviews, hard to concentrate. I was paying as much attention as possible at Lambo, Countach. There is a lot of scenery here, as you said, and it's just amazing. I'm like a kid in a candy shop, and the one-off Ferrari, and it just goes on and on and on. You got freaking Duesenbergs, Rolls-Royce. You got Bugattis like here, there, everywhere. This is just, it's special to be here. Check out more of our coverage and more of our wonderful car content on BeTerrific.com. And we've got a whole lineup coming this fall, new. We've got 5 new shows and a whole lot more starting in October with a relaunch of our website. So stay tuned to BeTerrific.com for a whole lot more. I'm Michael Artsis. You're the Terrifics. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, be terrific. The Greenwich Concours d'Elegance on BeTerrific.